Neither will we shirk our civic responsibility and allow the EC, whether by ill intent or sheer incompetence, to usurp the people's mandate.
The former president has also been demanding that the Electoral Commission further extends the exhibition of the voters' register as it alleges padding of voter numbers in the Asawasi constituency. Also tonight, we're hearing from the Electoral Commission. They are tonight assuring that they are committed to fixing the challenges emerging from the exhibition process. And Top Story is always brought to you by Gassim Cement, the nation's builder, and Vodafone. The future is exciting. Ready. He and his running mates suspended their campaigns, and today John Mahama used the time of the campaign trail to address a news conference about his concerns with the recently compiled voters register. Now, the NDC flag bearer has been laying out a litany of issues with a stern warning about the outcome of the December 7 general elections, which is now just 74 days away.
Our demands are the same regardless. We want to see fairness, transparency, and integrity in the process leading up to the election, including in this exhibition exercise. We expect that when such monumental breaches are pointed out, the EC will take responsibility and act in good faith to resolve them. We in the NDC have exhibited restraint at all times in this electoral process. Even now, we're committed to doing so. But let me serve notice, once again, that we will not accept the result of a flawed election. We will certainly not look on. Neither will we shirk our civic responsibility and allow the EC, whether by ill intent or sheer incompetence, to usurp the people's mandate in the December 7 poll. The Electoral Commission must take immediate steps to rectify and sanitize the register and re-exhibit it to afford the voting public and all stakeholders an opportunity to verify their particulars in the voters' register before it is finalized.
Well, my colleague Joseph Gakpo was at the press conference addressed by the former president, joins me in the studio. Joseph, he did not only raise concerns about the outcome of the December elections based on what he fears to be a flawed process, he is also appealing to the electorate, the public, to get involved.
Precisely. He thinks that any election that doesn't have the necessary integrity is something that will not come up with the best outcome. And so, just as the NEC is demanding transparency and accountability on the part of the EC, he wants other members of the public to also do the same.
I regret to note that these irregularities, inconsistencies, and intimidation are generating anxiety amongst the Ghanaian public that the upcoming elections may not be free and fair. It is deeply troubling that the ongoing exhibition of the voters' register has revealed significant omissions and in some cases the deletion of names of registered voters on a wide scale. There are also instances in which the gender, name, and registration center of voters have been transposed. As an interested party in the December elections, we want to state, and strongly, that these alarming warning signs do not bode well for a free and fair election. To quote what many others have said in their commentary on the current developments on social media, of what use is a democracy if technicalities will be deployed to steal the mandate of the people? Sovereign power emanates from the people. It must be protected and jealously guarded at all times.
So we've heard his conclusions about what the outcome of the elections may be. He's talked about what Ghanaians should get involved. Did he provide any real concrete evidential basis for some of these concerns that he raises?
It's a tall list, which they still say is not an exhaustible one. For example, the former president said that in the Binduri constituency, which is in the Upper East region, there have been many cases of omission that have subsequently been detected. So, for example, at the Narang Sago Primary School, there were more than 444 registrants. Not a single of them had their name on the register. The Timpini Primary School, there had been 428 people. There is no one on it. Another one, the Kumpalgulugo Registration Center, 392 people. There was 0 of them on the list. And again, in other 18 centers in the same Binduri constituency, he says more than 6,341 names had actually been omitted. So that's for the Binduri constituency. In the Japa constituency, also in the Upper West region, there were more than 2,057 names that were missing from the list. Here in Accra, the former president mentioned Clotty Colley constituency, where Dr. Zaneto Rollins is actually MP. There's been the situation in 12 different centers where 2,054 people did not find their names. Now to the Krow constituency, there had been cases of duplication in 8 different centers affecting more than 2,453 people. And then he mentioned the incident in Ashaiman, which has been topical, mentioning the MP for the area, Enes Nogbe, who has actually been leading the charge to actually get answers on some claimed 21,000 people, including the MP himself, who the claim is that they weren't on the register. The former president said that after they protested, a new document was provided, but even the new document of the register that was provided, 7,000 names are still missing. And then the voter region, a number of incidents there, the former president says. He says in Ketu South, 6,158 names are missing. In the Anglo constituency, 984 of them could not be found. In the Akachi South constituency, 426 names are missing. In the Keta constituency, where Richard Koshiga is currently MP, 275 names are missing. And then he went on back to the northern region and mentioned the Kraga constituency, as well as the Tamale South and the Tolon constituency as well, where all these 3 constituencies put together, 2,173 names were actually missing. But he drew attention to some other incidents where he alleges there's been more like the padding of the electoral roll. He mentions the Aswasi constituency as one of the places where there's been the addition of 907 additional names mysteriously to the register, which he thinks is worrying. And then he zoomed into the situation in the Commander Edina Eguafo Abrim constituency,
where his running mate, Professor Jenana Pukwachiman, hails from.
Exactly. And he says she, for example, suffered a case of duplication and she had to go get that rectified eventually.
In the central region, glaring cases of duplication of card numbers were also recorded in 14 centers in the Commander Edina Eguafo Abrim constituency. And one of such cases involved my running mate, Professor Nana Jino Pokwajiman. She went to her center to check her name. She sent somebody to check her name, and they said she had to come herself because her number was duplicated. Somebody else had the same number as her. And so she had to come and collect the card and take it to the district office to go and sort it out. And so she had to drive from Commander to Elmina, where the district office of the EC is. And at Elmina, they took the old card from her, destroyed it, and replaced it with a new card. I mean, being who she is, she could make the trip to Elmina. What of the poor farmer in the village who comes and finds out that their card is not valid? Are they going to travel to Elmina to replace the card? Yet another anomaly has been detected, which revolves around the appearance of additional names on the register, which have served to swell it. In Asawasi in the Ashanti region, 907 additional names have mysteriously appeared on the register.
I mean, we'll bring you what the Electoral Commission has been saying on this, because they remember that there's been an inter-party advisory committee meeting today with the Electoral Commission, where some of these concerns had been dealt with. We're hearing the perspectives from some of the parties represented in this particular meeting today. The NDC, they were represented also. The NEC had also issued a statement about some of the allegations that the former president has been making regarding the exhibition process. Joseph, we know that the Electoral Commission has recently extended the exhibition time by an additional 2 days. What is John Mohammed's view on this? Is he happy with the extension?
He thinks it's inadequate, and the EC needs to look at that again.
Even though the occurrence of anomalies during voter exhibition exercises is not new, the sheer volume and magnitude of the recorded anomalies in this ongoing voters exhibition exercise are unusual and unprecedented, and give us genuine cause for concern about the credibility of the register and the integrity of the electoral process. This is particularly so given the limited amount of time that we have for the resolution of these major challenges before we go into the December elections. It is obvious that the EC, despite the desperate public relations attempts, recognizes its failures and the potential challenges to the electoral process emanating from its actions. We believe that the decision to extend the exhibition period to Sunday, September 27th, vindicates the position of the NDC. We, however, think that a 2-day extension is inadequate to address the magnitude of issues that we have discovered that need to be resolved. The NDC wishes to recommend to the EC once again to begin a regular, comprehensive, and transparent dialogue with IPAC.
Okay, so this IPAC question was addressed today by the Electoral Commission because there was a meeting. The question is, what really happened in there, and what is the NDC's view on the outcome of today's IPAC meeting, which we understood before the event actually happened that it was going to be used as a platform to address some of the concerns. We'll tell you what happened in the IPAC meeting shortly. But Joseph, we know that the former president suspended his campaign. His running mate also did same because of the issue to come to Accra to address it. We know he's now addressed the press conference. He's returning to the campaign scene now that he's done the press conference. The
indication is that may most likely not happen anytime soon, because what he did today was to give an additional directive to the party at the constituency and the regional level. So he directed that at that level, the constituency executives and parliamentary candidates should all suspend their campaigns and focus on the registration exhibition for the next 2 days or so. And it's after that any other decisions around campaigning will be taken.
Okay. So that is the view from the NDC today when the former president addressed a news conference on the issues that they have with the register. The exhibition is currently ongoing and it's throwing up a few challenges. The Electoral Commission called an IPAC meeting today and they assured political parties that they are committed to resolve these challenges that we are now beginning to see. The Commission explains the exhibition exercise forms part of the processes in deepening the credibility of the register. At this meeting today, to brief the parties on the ongoing exercise, the Commission explained to the parties it has no intention of disqualifying qualified applicants. As had come up, as you know, the NDC had raised some of the issues, insisting that the challenges won't affect the credibility of the polls. I wanted to listen to Sylvia Ano, who is the head of public affairs at the Electoral Commission, speaking to my colleague Parker Wilson about the outcome of today's IPAC meeting.
The Commission assured the political parties that it was working, to make sure that all the issues relating to the exhibition exercise are resolved.
We'll get the additional details shortly, but I want to bring in the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers. They have also been monitoring the exhibition process. I'm curious to know what they have observed in terms of the concerns that had come forth. Rhoda Affle is with Codeo, joins us on the telephone line. Rhoda, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you, Evans, and good evening to your listeners.
So tell me, you've heard all the concerns that the former president had laid out today. What have you observed yourself?
Well, first of all, as we have indicated before, we have some 65 observers in different parts of the country are also monitoring the exercise. So far, from the reports we've gathered, I must say that, yes, there are a few places that our observers have also indicated that a few people have not been able to find their names on the register. And then at some exhibition centers, the numbers are quite significant in the hundreds, which is quite worrying. I think the EC's attention has been drawn to this, and I'm sure they are aware. The most important thing, I think, is the kind of interpretation that we are giving to this. It's a bit worrying if you look at the political rhetoric that we are hearing, especially from the opposition side. I think as much as possible, it is fair for the political parties to try and get answers from the Electoral Commission as to what may be responsible for this. And the Electoral Commission, of course, should also help all of us by providing the explanation. It could be technical challenges. I mean, some of these things can happen when you are working with human beings, you are working with machines. So some of them can be expected. Maybe for them, not the skill that they even expected. But when we try and read political meanings into it, when we try and give some of the readings that we are hearing, then it makes it difficult. It poisons the atmosphere for us to have very honest conversations about how to redeem or salvage the situation. But most importantly, now that the EC is also aware of these challenges, I think the critical thing is what steps they take to make sure that people's names are restored on the register, whatever the problem is, because you don't want to disenfranchise anybody from exercising their right to vote. And then, of course, to keep the public constantly engaged, informed. If I went to check and I didn't find my name, at what point do I get to know that now my name is back on the register? I can verify for myself. So all of these have to be done and done well so that confidence in the processes can be boosted, and as much as possible we can go into the polls with assurance that everybody is going to be dealt with fairly.
I mean, we've heard the NDC say that, yes, every exhibition throws up challenges, but this particular exhibition, the challenges it's throwing up are unprecedented. The coalition of domestic election observers, you've been doing this for a long time. What you're beginning to witness with the exhibition, is it unprecedented?
I mean, I've been checking a report on the 2012 exercise because that is what you can compare with the current situation. We did the exercise in the nature that we just conducted the 2020 registration exercise. And you realize that, yes, there were few missing names, but if you look at the places that could be observed, on average, the number of people that were missing were between 1 and 30 for most of the places that our observers observed in 2012. But like for this current exercise, like I'm saying, for a few places, we are seeing that the numbers are in the hundreds, which is a bit worrying. It gives you the idea that probably there was some problem somewhere, and it is important that the Electoral Commission, if it's possible for them to explain to the public that maybe it was a technical problem, or we are trying our best to resolve this, which we believe they are doing, and then also just to make sure that people are informed as to when their names are back on the register. And
also, I mean, as you monitor, how widespread are these issues that your monitors are picking up?
I mean, so it's not very widespread. I think a few exhibition centers have had this problem. So far, our observers have been observing on average 65 registration centers a day. They've observed 4 out of the 6 days that the Electoral Commission has carried out the exercise so far. And I think I can say that so far for the centers that have recorded some of these incidents about the huge numbers, they are less than 10 for the places that the observers have been to. I can say that there are about less than 10 centers with this particular challenge. So it's not really widespread. But there are other centers that have a few names, 1 or 2 people also missing. Those are also there.
Now, the EC says they're extending the exhibition process by an additional 2 days. Is that enough, knowing what you now know about the challenges?
Well, I think what is important is the attitude of the public or the voters or the response to this exercise. In 2012, when we had the exhibition exercise, we had 10 days. And then after that, there were discussions about this, the idea was that let's increase it. So in 2016, we had 21 days. But what did we do? People didn't show up. People didn't go to the exhibition centers to check. So we had 21 days, but turnout was really poor. So I think for me, the issue is not so much about the number of days, but whether people are really enthused about going out to the exhibition center to check on their name. Because mind you, on election day, we are all going 15 million or so people. Most of them who are going to show up, we are all going to do this in one day. So if really we want to show up and respond to the exercise, I think the number of days, it only facilitates that, but it really depends on our response to the exercise.
Rhoda, thank you very much. Rhoda Affle is with the CODEO, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers. I have with me on the telephone line the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mr. Peter Boamotokono. Just before I come to him, though, there's been an IPAC meeting today, as I've indicated earlier. We're now getting a sense of what that IPAC meeting discussed and the resolutions that the EC and commitments the EC is making to address the challenges that, in fact, the NDC had raised. We're also learning that the MPP itself has concerns also in some of its what they believe to be their own strongholds. Listen to the EC's Public Affairs Director, Silviano, after that meeting with the political parties.
And by that, I mean those who, for one reason or the other, had problems with their biodata. Aside that, the Commission assured the political parties that, as a matter of fact, no names have been deleted from the voters' register as being speculated. The Commission assured them that, gave them the word that once you, as a registered voter, you have your name on the voters list, your name is not on the multiple list, is not on the exceptions list, you have genuinely registered, you will not be disenfranchised by the Electoral Commission. So this is reassuring. And the Commission again reiterated on the essence of the exhibition exercise. Now, why do we exhibit the voters register? We exhibit the voters register because there may be anomalies. There may be mistakes because the information was captured by human beings. So the essence of the voters register is to make sure that all the problems in the register are rectified. And we can only do so collectively.
Too many.
No, if you talk about too many, let me calm down.
Right.
Now, for instance, with the duplicate names where we had different coding issues, we indicated that there were 100 places. We even brought out a press release to that effect. Now you're talking about 33,367 exhibition centers. So relatively, if you have maybe 0.04 places where there are issues, these are normal. You will never find a perfect process anywhere in the world. And that is not to say that we are relaxing. We are doing all in our power to make sure that the right things are done within the confines of the law.
So
yes.
What has happened is not new.
It's not new. It's not new.
Happening with
it's not new.
Registration and exhibition exercise.
Exactly.
But one key thing and one key challenge is the NDC that we raised a lot of concerns. And I'm sure. I saw their representative in the meeting. Did you get the sense that now he's leaving the meeting with understanding that the problems will be resolved and he will equally communicate to his party supporters and especially the flag bearer? He
indicated, he inquired, and he made his presentation that there were anomalies, that is their school of thought that, there are problems with the register. And there's also another school of thought, from other political parties that the Electoral Commission has assured us that it will do all in its power to make sure that all these anomalies and problems are solved. With IPAC, you always have divergent. Most of the time, you have divergent views, and for us, it's very normal. Except that when the issues come up, we also need to educate the general public and let them know that the Electoral Commission will not delete the names of qualified persons from the voters' register.
So that is Madam Sylvia. She is the Communications Director for the Electoral Commission. I have on the telephone line with me Peter Boamotokono, who is a General Secretary of the NDC. Mr. Tokono, I'm grateful that you joined me. You heard the EC there on the back of the IPAC meeting. I heard your flag bearer, John Mahama, former president, at the briefing today say, in fact, challenge the Electoral Commission to to be more transparent and hold IPAC meetings as one of the ways of promoting transparency. That IPAC, one of the IPAC meetings came off today. You've heard the EC's assurances. Didn't that address the concerns you have?
Well, Evans, first of all, the blatant disregard for the role of IPAC under this immense leadership of the Electoral Commission cannot be overemphasized. And it is rightful for the flag bearer of the NDC, the former President John Dramani Mahama, to re-echo the need for the electoral management body to find relevance and find importance with the role the IPAC play in election management. Indeed, today there was an IPAC meeting, but I'd say, and I said it to you yesterday also, that this IPAC meeting is completely irrelevant.
Why do you say that? I mean, your former president says, do the IPAC meeting. It happens. You say it's irrelevant.
So, Evans, I'm referring to this particular one that was held today, because you cannot organize an exhibition exercise without inviting political parties to even relook at the modalities and the systems that you are putting in place for the exhibition exercise. The time period for the exhibition exercise must be discussed. The problems that may possibly confront the exercise must be discussed. The modalities and the requirements and the processes must well be, discussed with political parties before we move out and roll out the program. We have done an exhibition exercise without any of this. Bear in mind that the Electoral Commission, fully aware of the challenges that their new system, their so-called superior system, was presenting to them, refused to inform political parties about the challenges they were having. Challenges of double ID numbers, challenges of multiple the same photographs for different, people who have registered, challenges of people's name appearing in duplicates without their knowledge, and so on and so forth. This is the superior system that the Electoral Commission said they were putting in place.
The EC today, yes, the EC today at the IPAC meeting and third after admitted that there have been challenges, but they have vowed and committed at the IPAC meeting that they will resolve these issues so that they can have a credible register going forward.
So you admit that there are challenges. When the challenges have reared their ugly heads and you have surreptitiously put together systems to resolve the problems without the knowledge of political parties. But for the video that was circulating, where the Electoral Commission had printed voter ID cards and was laminating and circulating to unknown people, would they have come out and tell us that there was a problem with the system? Would they have called for this IPAC meeting and referred to the challenges? Bear in mind that when the video came out, they came out and said, the video was false in one statement. The video is not true. Then they explained that, the video is as a result of, some system they put in place in the district offices to replace ID cards. How can you replace ID cards for individuals who do not know that they have problems with the ID cards in the first place? That is very problematic.
Yeah,
that is very monumental in terms of decision making.
Let me ask you.
Parties did not know about this.
Yeah.
Then you go ahead and undertake this exercise.
Yeah. Let me ask you.
Which presents credibility problems for the register.
Let's to be forward looking for a second, because the challenges you've raised, of course, your flag bearer today articulated them quite extensively. Looking forward, the IPAC meeting has happened. EC has made some commitment. John Mahama is asking for more dialogue with using the IPAC medium going forward. For the NDC going forward, with the challenges that had come up, EC says extended by 2 days. Of course, John Mahama says it's too short. What is it that you intend now to do in working with the EC to try and resolve this, if at all?
The call for dialogue has been made far before even registration started. Where we are, dialogue is important, and President Mahama has called for dialogue to continue. But the solution we need immediately cannot be procured through, what the Electoral Commission is doing, issuing statements and calling us to assure us.
What will resolve it?
Are not enough. Mere assurances are not enough. Mere assurances are not dialogue. The IPAC meeting today was not called for dialogue.
So what would resolve it? What will resolve it then?
Called for assurances. Now, the problem we are confronted with, extending the exhibition even by 2 days does not solve the problem. What we have to do is that we have to call up the register. Make sure that every single person who registered has his name appearing on the provisional register. Send it back to the polling station. Then reopen the exhibition. let everybody go and check. Let's be sure that nobody is missing.
Sorry, did you say call off? Did you say call off? Just a clarify. Did you say call off the register?
Yes, exactly. This exhibition currently, as it stands now, has not served its purpose. You have several hundreds of thousands of people getting to 1 million or over who are missing, who may not even go to the registration center. So if I do not go to the registration center and I do not get to realize that my name is in there or not, and I go to the polling station on election day to go and vote, and my name is not there, and this is ranging within 1 million of people who have registered, and they go to the polling station, they are not able to find their names on the register, and for that matter, unable to vote. You can imagine what the implication will be. So what we are saying is that the Electoral Commission, realizing that their system they put in place is not superior as they claimed earlier, and perhaps may be underperforming than the earlier one. All they need to do is to pull back, resolve all the problems, make sure that every person who went to the registration center and registered have his or her name in the register. Those who have been deleted and those who have gone through adjudication and they are on the exceptions list, all of them provided. Then we can go back to the exhibition. If you come back and you say, okay, you are doing even exhibition for 1 day, then we know that nobody will be shortchanged. The idea is not to disenfranchise any qualified Ghanaian who have gone through the test of COVID to go and register. And that is the point that we are making.
Okay. I'm grateful, Peter Otokono there. He is the Deputy General Secretary. But Mr. Otokono, before you go, will John Mahama return to the campaign to resume his campaign now that he's finished addressing the briefing?
Yes, we are resuming the campaign on Monday. Flag Bearer would resume the campaign in the Bono region, continue with the Ahafo region and a few other regions. And we have the running mate also resuming the campaign on Monday in the Central region. Okay. And all campaign activities across the country are bouncing back.
Okay.
But whilst we are sick, we are going to remain very vigilant. We are going to keep on, pursuing this matter and make sure that the right thing is done. Bear in mind that we have invited the intervention of the international observer bodies to come in early and start doing, early observations.
Well, I'm grateful, sir. That is Peter Bama Otokono, the General Secretary of the NDC. Isn't it amazing when your network cares about you so much so that they do amazing things for you? You guessed it. I'm talking about the Vodafone Cash dropping all charges when you send money to all networks. Yes, you heard it right. It costs nothing, absolutely nothing, when you send money via Vodafone Cash to all networks. Just send any amount as many times as you want to any network and pay zero charges on the money sent. So go ahead, make payments, show your love, make contributions, send money all you want via Vodafone Cash to all networks for free. Dial *110# to send cash for free. Are you ready? Still ahead here on Newsnight.
President Akufo-Addo announces 28% increment in producer price of cocoa, moving it from the current 8,420 Ghana cedis to 10,560 cedis per metric ton, simply so 660 Ghana cedis per bag.
Beginning on 1st October 2020, this year, I'm happy to announce the award of a new cocoa producer price of 10,560 cedis per metric ton.
Also, President Akufo-Addo updates the Western North region on projects undertaken by his government as he tours the region.
There are 400 projects being executed in the region, with 197 completed and the remaining 203 ongoing.
And activates relevant constitutional clauses to sanction presidential staffer Charles Bisu, constituency executives of MPP branch of Takwa and Swayim to regional disciplinary committee as it sets record straight on bloody fights between the two.
He has to protect the image of the party and the candidate too. That's the reason why we are saying he's not protecting the party as a regional secretary, so we are calling for his dismissal.
And tonight's poor state of roads and drainage systems top of the agenda for residents of Lejokuku.
See, all this why has Okoboy not be able to construct the road? And he waits for 2 months for election before he start doing something. Okoboy will win this election with few margin.
It's another Thursday and the battleground is live this evening. Tonight we're focusing on the race between Dr. Bernard Okoboy of the NPP and NDC's Ben Ayiku at Lejokuku.
In business, commercial banks disbursed over 4 billion Ghana cedis in fresh credit to businesses during COVID-19 restrictions.
And in sports,
draws for the men and women's singles at the French Open 2020 have just been released, and some tricky and mouth-watering duels could feature at the latter stages of the Grand Slam. Details when I join you much later with sports.
And tougher position for Accra Academy as they face Asin State College and the Fiakobi and Pimes HS in next week's 1/8 contest of the National Science and Maths Quiz.
It is written in the book of John, chapter 9, verse 10, and when Jesus has therefore taken the vinegar, he said 3 words, it is finished.
Is it finished for Accra Academy? I have details of that and more here on Newsnight. I am Meme Fapao.
And my name is Evans Mensah. And we started tonight with the president announcing something that the farmers, when it comes to cocoa, should be excited about. Effective October 1, cocoa farmers will enjoy a 28% increase in the producer price.
So President Akufo-Addo a while ago announced decision of government to move the price paid to farmers from the current 8,420 Ghana cedis to 10,560 Ghana cedis or 660 Ghana cedis per bag.
Well, launching the cocoa rehabilitation program at Sichiri, also in the Western North region, the president also announced plans